Alright, hello and welcome to my human-computer interaction final project presentation. This first part is going to go through the various assignments that we've done in this class and how they have helped me with the design process. And the second part of this presentation will feature a walkthrough of my prototype. So what is design? This assignment really lays the groundwork for this course and the design process in general. I mainly completed this assignment using the videos and articles on Canvas, and for me, the most important part of this assignment wasn't defining design, but defining the design process. I already knew what design was before entering this class, but I didn't know about the design process, which will essentially help you to create anything. So that's what I'm most grateful for when it came to this assignment. Building empathy. This is the beginning of the design process, and it gives designers an idea of what problem they are trying to solve by understanding the user. Of course, for this assignment, we weren't speaking to actual possible users, but envisioning ourselves in their situation, which is still very important and useful for the design process. Coming into this class, I didn't know that this step came before defining the problem, but thinking about it now, it makes a lot more sense. Problem articulation. This is essential for design because it provides a focal point for the designers. The designers need to know what they are trying to solve, for who, and why, because this will allow them to better tailor their design to that person. Articulating the problem, along with building empathy, will also lead into the next part of the design process, which is the discussion guide and interview. This allows the designers to obtain info directly from possible users. So this will be useful for designers to create a persona and understand who they might be developing for. I know personally I learned a lot more about the user through this process that I would not have thought of. Constructing a persona. This assignment was directly based on the interviews and was very useful for pinpointing the important parts of the archetype. Personally, having this fictional person in my head when I was creating my prototype definitely kept me on track. Persona revision. This is more or less similar to the last assignment, but it is just more refined and organized. This of course fed into the next step of designing scenarios and requirements. Scenarios and requirements. By developing what is required for your app and what types of scenarios the user would be in when using the app, you can then begin to develop rough sketches for what your app might look like. This definitely assisted me in regards to visualization and future drafts. Interface evaluation. The rationale behind this assignment was that if we could understand where other interfaces excel and fail, we could use their successful techniques and avoid their failures. This is exactly what I did with my design. Building a UI. This is where we finally began to bring our designs into fruition. By doing this, I was able to compare my rough drafts and decide which one would be tailored to best suit my users and their problems. Ultimately, I decided to make an app similar to Quora and Reddit, but combining the better aspects of them and eliminating the aspects I don't enjoy about them. The design on the right is my first one. What I didn't like about this design was the idea of a Q&A tab. The more I thought about what would be a part of this tab, the more I realized that, at its core, it was just another type of home tab. I also didn't like the three dots that I used for filtering options in the top right. I just feel like it wasn't clear enough. And now, this is my other design. I didn't enjoy the lack of a constant footer here. I feel like it was just unorganized, and I don't like that you need to open a menu in order to see what would normally be in a footer. In addition, you use the bubble on the bottom right to ask questions, and I don't think that's really clear enough. And this is the design that I eventually decided to go with. I believe that it is simple and organized well, which wouldn't overwhelm the consumer, and I really like the footer and the ask section. Design systems. Design systems heavily influence the type of design you want your prototype to focus on. For my design specifically, I gained inspiration from the articles on Canvas and the systems they came up with there. One example is the usage of modular systems, which I heavily relied on, especially once again with my footer in my design. Prototyping. This is where we finally began to connect our prototype and make it interactive. It finally begins to feel like a real interface here. So Now you can actually test how your ideas would work in a mock practice. And like most steps in the design process, this will further encourage improvement and change. Lastly, we have usability testing. This is basically where we test the designs using real people. This is extremely useful for improving functionality and updating the design to make it easier to use. I changed my design using the test my partner did for this assignment. And that is the end of my presentation, at least the first half. And here's my Adobe XD link. And now I'm going to go into exploring the prototype. Thank you.